Okay, maybe this is a hot take after everything that has been going on with Venom 3, but I personally do not want Knull in Spider-Man 4. It's a little bit weird because we've got this opportunity to cross over these two characters, Venom and Spider-Man, which we have been, well, I don't know, anticipating ever since the release of Homecoming and Venom from Sony. But no, I don't want Knull in Spider-Man 4. And here's why. So I've got three main reasons that I'm going to discuss with you today, and my first reason is that it makes the movie more cosmic. This is something that we as fans have been discussing ever since Spider-Man No Way Home. If Spider-Man 4 goes more cosmic, it's going to further taint what people love about the character. And as we know, Spider-Man 4 has had loads of rumors about Marvel and Sony almost fighting over what the movie should be about. Should it be about Kingpin, Daredevil, and all the different street level stuff that's going on in the MCU right now? Should it tie into that, or should it be more cosmic? Should Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire all come back to the fray to reprise their roles in a multiverse epic? The fans are a little bit split, but I'd say on the most part, most people would want a street level story. Having Knull as the main villain of this movie furthers this point. Knull is a character that can't be taken lightly, and if this movie wants to tackle any sort of grounded nature or themes that tie into a very, very friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, then Knull is going to completely shatter that reality. I think we have to accept if Knull is the villain, there is no way in hell that this movie could be grounded in any sort of way. And that leads me very nicely on to my second point. Knull has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Knull is a Venom villain. Yeah, is that hard enough to believe? Now, I don't know if any of you guys are writers or even aspiring writers out there, but one thing that I've learned about storytelling by just sort of loving movies, writing myself from time to time, is that when you have a villain, it's got to somehow intrinsically oppose what the protagonist wants, needs, or believes. And with Knull from the comics, yeah, I guess you could say there's a conflict of interest with Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man definitely wouldn't want Knull to invade Earth or conquer the multiverse or whatever his motivations are going to be in Venom 3 or possibly Spider-Man 4. But that's a bit surface level. It's a bit weak. There's pretty much nothing in it for Peter Parker other than, oh, he's got to save the multiverse. Like, that's what the Avengers movies are for. Peter Parker isn't an Avenger, and his main story never intrinsically ties to the main villain of the Avengers movies, but Peter Parker still shows up. Because although he does fight for the little guy, he fights for the friendly neighborhood, there would be no friendly neighborhood left if Peter Parker didn't help and intervene. And yes, this is a great way to include Spider-Man in an Avengers movie, but when you start using that as maybe his main motivation or main driving force in a movie about the character, it seems very surface level. And I'm afraid that if they do use Knull as the main villain in Spider-Man 4, this is going to be the case. Like I mentioned, from the comics, Knull and Spider-Man have no connection whatsoever other than the fact that Peter at one point had the symbiote, and then of course that leads to Venom, and obviously Knull is Venom's villain, so there you go. These characters have nothing to do with each other, and I know people like the idea of Venom and Spider-Man being in a movie together, almost buddy cop-like maybe, but in my opinion, if it's going to create a weak connection between hero and villain, there isn't a main theme, there isn't a main topic, there isn't something that drives the movie forward, then I'm not about that, man. And my third and final point on this issue is that there are way more interesting villains you could use for Spider-Man 4. What I said in my second point leads me very nicely on to this point, because as I mentioned, Knull and Spider-Man, unless they create something original, don't really have that much in common. And yes, I've spoke many times and it's been completely oversaid on the internet thus far that there should be Kingpin, there should be Black Cat, there should be Scorpion, Mr. Negative, all these other villains should be in this movie. But if you do want to go cosmic, if you want this movie to be multiverse, if you want this movie to be big and even better than No Way Home, which by the way, I don't think it should be, but if you want to, Why not go for someone like Morlun? Why not go for someone like Morlun, who intrinsically is tied to the Spider-Man character, who has a stake in the well-being of spider people across the multiverse? At least that would create for a more interesting dynamic between hero and villain. At least there's a lot more to build off from than if you had Knull be the villain of Spider-Man for this movie. There's not one right answer to this, and if there is one, I think it's more along the lines of something being street level. But like I said, we've spoke about that a million times. Everyone wants this movie to be street level. I'm not going to bore you with that conversation, but Knull shouldn't be the villain, and there are plenty of reasons why, as I've listed in this video. It just doesn't feel right, and it feels like the only reason they are going to do it is so Tom Hardy and Tom Holland can have a crossover movie together. And yes, I'm aware that Venom 3 is meant to be Venom's last appearance. I'm aware that Tom Hardy has said he's not returning as Venom, but I mean, how many times have actors lied over the last couple of years? Just look at Andrew Garfield saying he wasn't in No Way Home. You can't trust these guys nowadays. If Tom Hardy had the opportunity to cross over with Spider-Man, as he's wanted to do for years, do you really think he's going to turn that down? Probably not. So I won't believe anything anyone says until we actually see Spider-Man 4 for the first time. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I want to hear all your thoughts. Do you think that Knull's going to be the villain of Spider-Man 4? And if the rumor turns out to be true, will you like it or will you not? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.